guys. So it occurred to me a little while ago that as a new YouTuber, that as I write a passage, I'm supposed to do a Q&A video to help you, the viewer, get to know me a little bit better. And since my vlog/blog is really about workplace experiences and things like that, I told you guys to submit questions to me, anything having to do with work or career or, you know, and anything like that. And it could be funny, serious, silly, anything. So here we go. Oh, and in case you're wondering why I'm in a dimly lit car, it's because I'm actually at work, kind of. And we got an email saying to move your car because they're going to be doing construction and, you know, be careful not to get towed. So I decided to come out here and move my car, and then decided, you know what, since I'm out here, might as well do this video. So here we go. Number 1, the question was, what's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you on the job? Now, I'm sorry to say that I have a few things to choose from, but this is the one I chose. I was 16 years old when, you know, embarrassment equals death. So I'm 16 years old. Summertime, I'm working as a candy striper at the hospital. And one of my friends from high school, this guy from high school, had to have surgery on his knee. And when he was done, my job was to like discharge patients, take them down to their cars in the wheelchair. So he gets in the wheelchair. He has the one leg sticking out because, you know, he got his knee operated on. I take him to the elevator. And as I'm trying to, you know, play it all cool or whatnot, I swing him into the elevator and hit his foot that's sticking out. And he winced like, whoo! And I was just like, I felt so bad, but he was so nice about it. So the embarrassment didn't last long, but I felt really bad about that. Sorry. Question number 2. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out in the professional world? Now, I work in medical science publishing, but I honestly believe that this advice is for any profession, and that is to be your own advocate. No one is going to do for you like you do for you. No one cares about your income or your goals as much as you do. So be your own advocate. Don't be afraid to speak up and say, this is what I want. This is what I expect. This is what I need. I know it's easier said than done, but in the end, you'll be glad that you spoke up for yourself. So that's my number 1 advice. Question number 3. What's the longest you've ever been at a job, and what's the shortest you've ever been at a job? The longest I've ever been at a job is actually my current job at a medical science publisher. It's been about 7.5 years, and boy, does it feel like it. Unless, of course, my manager is watching, in which case every day feels like the first day. The shortest I've ever been at a job is when I was in high school. I worked at the Limited Too and discovered that retail is not for me, especially not a clothing store for children, where children and their mothers would come in and try on clothes. Like, what are you doing, lady? Like, I can't. Anyway, yeah, it wasn't for me. Couldn't do it. Couldn't hang. Question number 4. What's the proudest moment you've ever had at work? I didn't give this one too much thought, so I think this is the proudest. But at one of my jobs, my manager had left for the day, and she was a very hardworking woman, extremely nice, did her best. But that day she had gotten into it with a coworker over, you know, something big. So she had left for the day, and I stayed late working on something. Now, the man's office was next door, the one that she had gotten into it with. And my boss's boss, I heard them having a conversation next door. He relayed the entire argument completely different than it had happened. He lied on my manager and made it sound like she was just refusing to do something and just completely misconstrued the entire situation. And I'm sitting in my office like, I can't believe that he's doing this. So I really did not want to get involved, but I had to go over and say, like, I'm sorry, but what he just said to you was completely false. And I spoke up and I told the truth, and I was so nervous doing it, but I'm really glad I did because she didn't deserve that. So that's one of my proudest moments. Okay, next question. What do you hate most about your current job? My salary. nothing. There's nothing wrong with my current job, and how dare you even ask? No, but really, it's not a bad place to work. It's more just the everyday, some annoyances that would happen in any office, certain situations or people. But yeah, nothing terrible. It's honestly not a bad place to work. And be sure to tell my boss that if you should ever see her out and about. Okay, next question. If you had to change professions, what would you choose to be? I honestly would like to be a TV writer, for a sitcom, or for, what is that new, I know Spike Lee has a new show coming out. She's Gotta Have It, based on the movie. I'm really excited for that one. I think it comes out in like 2 days. So yeah, if you know Spike Lee, go ahead and tag him in this video. Thanks. Okay, and the last question is, what is one thing you should never do in an interview? Fart. No, I'm just kidding. Sort of. I think the number one sin in an interview is being unprepared. Have your resume copies ready. Be ready to talk about yourself. Be ready to answer questions. And make sure that you don't have sweaty palms, because that's really gross and it turns people off. And make sure you're not one of these weak handshake people where they go to shake your hand and you just place your limp hand in theirs. Like, I can't stand that. Don't be that person. So I'm going to go ahead and get back into work, because I told them I was coming out here to move my car, which was true, but I've been gone for a little while, so they're probably confused. So I'm going to tell them I had to chase the tow truck down to get my car back. That's believable, right? So anyway, thanks for tuning in to my Q&A, and be sure to check out my Thanksgiving video in a couple of days. See you next time. Okay, one last quick thing before I go. So you know how I went out to check my car, right? My manager asked me to look at her car too, just to see if it was still there. So I came back, decided to pull a prank on her and tell her that her car was missing. So she was like, I sent her an email. She comes out to my desk, because I was like, I see where you told me to park your car. There was no car there. She comes out to my desk with this diagram of the parking lot and where she parked her car. And I was like, yeah, that's where I was. And there were no cars in that row. She just stood there like, she looked so lost and helpless. I had to bust out laughing. I couldn't hold it any longer. She then crumpled this up, this is why it looks like this, and threw it at me and called me a name. I told her I just had to. It's just in my nature. Sorry, Susan.